Welcome everyone. This is the Good Games podcast. We just did coming off of a spoiler cast for Cyberpunk 2077. I am your host, Justin Harold, and with me as always, my co-host, Adam Isa. Like we said, just got off of a podcast, so we've talked a little bit today already. And like I was getting on and saying, I tallied up me and Adam's scores from the 2020 Game Awards. And so, Adam, I want your thoughts before I read off category by category what our picks were and who the winners were. And what do you think?
I think you won.
You think I won?
I think you won.
Okay. How much do you think by?
3.
Wow, really? Do you think you had like controversial picks or what?
I think I followed my heart a couple times too much.
Yeah.
I think I followed my heart and tried to game the system.
Okay.
I think Sekiro was a one-off.
Okay.
In the sense of like, I don't know. I think that was a weird year, and I think Sekiro was like a one-off. But yeah, I tried to game the system. I tried to act smarter than the Game Awards, but the Game Awards, as we know, smarter than all of us. So
Gotcha. 80 I just saw on Twitter, 86. They had the most
83
viewers.
million, 8.6 concurrent. Yeah,
good for them.
Bonkers. I'm proud of Jeff.
Good for him. But I'm gonna go. We're gonna. So this what the episode's gonna be essentially is we're gonna go through, just like what the winners were and everything. And then we're going to get into what our top 6 games of the year were for us. Adam has a wider variety to pick from, mainly because he plays more games than I do because I'm not huge. And it's a New Year's resolution. I need to play more indie games because I have the ability to now with Game Pass. Allowing for some of those games. But first, we're going to go down. And Adam, you can try to keep score if you want. I have the number listed down. And
you got the number. I'm not going to make my brain hurt. No, I'm kidding.
And so I have the notebook with all of our picks and such. It's hard to like.
Did we tie?
Oh shit! You weren't supposed to see that. We did tie.
That's tie. Bonkers.
So.
Well, I ruined it, but
no, it's fine. But we did tie. And it really did come down to At one point, you were beating me by a significant amount, and I came back, and then we started going tit for tat at that point.
Okay, good. Yeah, so, well, towards the end, we just started agreeing with each other. You know what I mean?
Well, but the problem was with that, I would have won had I had kept the original score. Because I remember how I texted you the day before. I was like, "Hey,
you did change stuff.
I changed a couple things, and so I went back. I looked at them. I would have won if I hadn't have changed.
That's the best part is you should just do it and then forget about it.
Right. But so we're gonna quickly go through. So we have best esports team. I put Damwon. You put G2. G2 won.
Okay, I did win that because I thought. Remember, I asked you and you were like. When it happened, I was like, I put G2, and you were like, you put Dom 1. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I had it mixed up on how I had it written. So then we have best esports host. You have I don't know how. I
had Shocks.
Yeah, you had Shocks. I had Dash. So you're up 1 or you're up 2. And so then best esports game, League of Legends. We both had that 3-1. Best esports event, League of Legends. For you, I had OW Grand final.
Grandma final.
So you're up 4-1.
I swept. See, this is why watching esports is good. You'll never be able to beat me in the esports.
I should just agree with you, but that one was fun.
Exactly.
best esports coach was Azonic. Me and you picked Zephyr. I picked Zephyr, and you picked Grabs.
Yeah.
Best esport athlete was Showmaker. We both picked Crimsic.
Yeah, we kind of talked ourselves into that one.
Right. We have best debut game. Winner was Phasmophobia. We both picked Phasmophobia. Content creator of the year, you had Tim the Tatman. I had Valkyrie. Valkyrie won.
You won that one.
I got very lucky with that one. Very lucky with that one.
Yeah.
Simping does pay off eventually.
You're not allowed to say that on Twitch anymore now.
Really?
That's like a thing that they did. You can't say simp or incel or it's Because I mean, honestly, it's probably because people are calling staff that, and they're.
Oh,
But
okay.
sorry, I can't say anything.
That's
If I say
weird.
too much, I get in trouble.
Okay. We have best multiplayer game. I had Call of Duty. You had Among Us. Among Us 1. And then so we're on to best sports and racing. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 won. Me and you both had that. Best sim strategy game. We both had Microsoft Flight Simulator. Microsoft Simulator 1. Then we get into best family game. We both had Animal Crossing New Horizons. That won.
Hell yeah.
And then I think this is where I start to make a comeback.
Start to move away from the pack.
Yeah. So we have best fighting game. I had Mortal Kombat 11. You had Grand Blue.
Fantasy Versus.
Yeah, Fantasy Versus. Best role-playing game. I had Persona 5 Royale. You had Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Final Fantasy 7 Remake 1.
Okay.
Best action adventure. Me, you both put Ori. The Last of Us actually won that one.
That was bonkers.
That was a surprising one.
Yeah.
Best action game. I had Hades and you had Doom. Hades won.
That was my heart. See, this is where I start to go with my heart because I got a little like,
Yeah. And then so innovation and accessibility, we both had The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 won. Best VR AR, we both picked Half-Life 1. Best community support, I put Destiny 2, you put Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Fall Guys won. Best mobile game, we both put Among Us.
And it won.
Among Us won. Best indie, we both put Hades. Hades won. And then best ongoing, No Man's Sky, but we put Call of Duty, which was, I guess, very surprising to us, but
makes sense. I mean, I felt like it should have been last year. You know, that's when No Man's Sky should have won. My only thing was like Warzone was just it's the
most
biggest
popular thing.
Yeah. It's like it's Warzone and Among Us for this year in video games. You know, so I was just a little weirded out by that.
And Among Us did run away with a couple of awards. So then we have games for impact. I had Tell Me Why. You had Kentucky Route Zero TV edition. Tell Me Why won. Then we have best performance. We both put Ashley Johnson.
I should have just gone with Laura Bailey.
You did think Laura Bailey.
Thought she was going to win.
About it.
That was my heart.
Yeah, but Laura Bailey does win. That's a null and void for both of us. Best audio design. I had The Last of Us Part 2. You had Doom. The Last of Us Part 2 won. Best score and music. I put Final Fantasy 7 Remake. You put Doom. Final Fantasy 7 Remake won that one. You were surprised about that one.
No.
Or was it best audio design?
Art was what I was surprised about.
Okay.
Whenever I picked Doom, just know that was my heart talking because I just wanted Doom to win something.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Doom didn't win a thing, did it?
No.
Damn.
Which is really unfortunate for how good that game is.
Okay, so here it is. So this is where so the last 5 predictions I came out with the win. The last 5 and you didn't get one right, and then I got 4 out of 5. So I think this is where I made up. So
you catch up, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been pretty far ahead, I feel like.
Yeah. And so then best art direction, I had Ghost of Tsushima and you had Hades. Ghost of Tsushima
makes me
won.
so angry. It still makes me so angry. Like, I think Ghost of Tsushima is gorgeous, but it's just Japan, man. It just looks like Japan. Like, Ori or Hades. Oh, come on. Come on.
It's unfortunate. Okay, sorry. And I think for the rest of this, so best narrative, The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah. We both had that one. I think that was an easy one for both of us. Then best game direction, I had Final Fantasy 7 Remake. You had The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 won. And then we both got Game of the Year wrong. I had Ghost of Tsushima and you had Hades. I think that was us trying to play the system.
Yep, that's where we try to be smart.
And then The Last of Us Part 2 won. And so 17-17, we tied.
Hell yeah.
So it was pretty good though. Besides the fact that you crushed me in the very beginning, and then let your heart kind of get into your way. Dude, I should have let my heart stay because that's how I did the first time around. Yeah. And then I tried to play the game.
Can't play the game. You gotta go with your heart from now on.
Yeah, but oh well. It was good though. It was a good time.
Yeah.
I think last year's Game Awards were probably better in terms of like just like the announcements and stuff that
We
we
got
got
the
to
Series
see.
X. That was
Then
the big
again, though,
thing.
I got Mass Effect, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn happy about
And
that.
Sephiroth is coming to Smash, so like,
True.
yeah. But I mean, there's nothing that was like of the caliber of the Series X, and like
Right.
that's just the way it is. Like it's not gonna that's not gonna change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that was good. But so, the Game Awards, they're not the end all be all, especially not for us. But, me and you have played a good amount of the games that are on these lists for the most part. Obviously, you more so than I. So I'm more interested to hear your top 6 games of the year. And we'll go like, I'll say 6, you'll say 6.
yeah.
I'll say 5, you say 5.
Okay, good. I
Give a
thought you
little
were
bit of
about to say
reasoning.
we're
We'll
saying
talk.
all 6.
Yeah, no. We'll talk about each one too, a little bit. But I'm more interested to hear about your 6 because I think you'll have a more varied 6 than I will. So
I've been
how
having
about I
issues.
start off since
you start because
I'm
I got
slightly
think.
boring. I'm gonna be
No,
slightly
you're not
boring.
boring. You're beautiful. Continue.
So number 6 for me, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, very good game.
Great game.
It's potentially, I think it is top 3. I think it's sitting at number 3 for me right now in the Assassin's Creed games. I really like the story of it. I think that the gameplay is, a step up from Odyssey, and I thought Odyssey was a step up from Origins, and
yeah,
it had the whole redesign, and the combat since Origins has been really good.
But this combat is like,
yeah.
So it's not on my list, so I'm gonna talk about it with you now. So
absolutely, my reasoning for it being 6 and not higher though is that it really doesn't like do anything like
it's Odyssey with better mechanics and a fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, it's just like another Assassin's Creed game, except it's better than a cut of the rest of them. So I think Odyssey, if like Odyssey is up there too for me. Like it's like interchangeable between the two in terms of where I stack these games for Assassin's Creed games. I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey is just a little bit more like lighthearted, but I think this one like has a really well written story.
Yeah, I also think there's a lot of fun moments in this one still, which is I think something Origins didn't have that they needed, because I think a lot of the side stuff is a little goofy, and that makes the game so much more palatable. Like I really love this. I love Valhalla. It didn't make my list.
You killed it. You like dropped.
You do not like. I dropped 90. I dropped 90 hours in like a week and a half. Like I really love Valhalla. I really love these kinds of Assassin's Creed games. It's not on my list mostly because like you're right. It is more Assassin's Creed, and I recognize some of the flaws. Like I can see them, but that doesn't stop me from loving it. It's like it's like my guilty pleasure almost. Not that it's that guilty, because I think the games are great. But yeah, it's so fun. Like it's. And when you get like the really strong weapons, it starts to just like be just bonkers. I did find that spear. So
Odin's.
Yeah, I found Odin's spear. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, what's number 6 for you?
Having issues. I'm having a lot of issues right now. So I'm gonna give you the 2 and sort of talk and see what happens to myself. I cannot decide.
Is this going to be like you're going to talk about 2 and they're between 6 and 5, or
no? They're just between 6.
Okay, gotcha.
So 6 is the issue I'm having.
Okay.
I can't decide between Resident Evil 3 Remake and Astro's Playroom. So Astro's Playroom is like just it's so fun. It's so well made. It's small. And it's a platformer, but it's just so charming and so lovely, and like just an exceptional little game. And it's just like, yes, it's just a tech demo, but it's just got so much heart, so much spirit, so much love for video games. Like it's so lovely. Like that game is lovely, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I like seeing all the cameos. I like seeing the little Joel and Ellie Astrobots. I like seeing the Buster Sword. I just like seeing Kratos and Atreus on the boat. I like seeing Snake. I like seeing the Until Dawn. I like seeing all these things. And the platforming's good. and it's
Homage to
fun.
PlayStation, essentially.
Yeah, it's just well, that's what it is. Astro's Playroom is just like it's just like representing PlayStation, and it's really good. It's a fun 3D platformer, but it's weird because like RE3, which is worse than RE2. I'll say it right now, but I played that game like 6 times in a row. Like I played that game a lot. Like I tried to speed run it. Like I was having such a good time. Um, like just playing it and like trying to beat it and conquer it. And like I love these RE games.
Both of them
You
have
know,
been Game of the Year candidates the past 2 years, right? Or
yeah.
past within the
I mean,
past
not a lot
three.
of people talk about RE3 in the same way. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, I have to give it to RE. I have to give it
Oh,
to
Ori 3 is not in the Game of the Year for this year. I'm sorry.
RE3 is not. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
have to give it to Astro. I talked to myself sort of like Resident Evil's, and I'm still going to talk about Resident Evil because I really like it. Is great. It is just a worse 2. It's short, but I really did like that game. I like speedrunning it. I love the mechanics of those new games. I love the energy, the vibes, the direction, all of it. The character work is all of that stuff is awesome. I love Resident Evil. But Astro is just so lovely. It's just such a bolt of joy that you get for free for owning a PlayStation 5, which isn't free, but you know.
Yeah.
But Astro is just so lovely. Like honestly, and the platforming is good. It plays really well. It's smooth. It's a really great game. It's a great 3D platformer when we don't have that many. So yeah. Astro number 6, Astro's Playroom number 6.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm gonna continue being big and mainstream with my picks. How
Don't
lame that
worry,
might be,
I
but
get there.
at 5, I'm going Spider-Man Miles Morales. Honestly, I think it's a step above Spider-Man, the PS4 edition, and so I was really high on that. I think the gameplay is better, obviously, with Venom being introduced and everything with that, the Venom powers. So,
yeah, I was gonna say, listen,
yeah,
guys.
wasn't a spoiler. I tried to promise.
Yeah.
But the story is also very wholesome. I really do, and also it might be because I'm a Miles Morales stan. I like the past couple of years. I've just been
Soup. No.
I've been diving into
Yeah.
his character and everything, and I really like how he's portrayed and everything. I think they cut out stuff from the Spider-Man 4 game where like the side quests are just really like copy and paste.
Yeah.
And they're not like, it's not like they're completely out of there, but there's not as many as them. Like it just like felt like a chore to do 100% those games before. And now it feels like it's really good. It's kind of like connected to Miles being more of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man than it is to what it was for Peter in his story and in his version of New York City. So, but the reason I have it at 5 is mainly just because, I think the jump from 5 to 4 is huge. Like it's significant. Like it
Okay.
is,
Yeah.
it is very big in terms of games for me. And so like once we get past 5, we start getting into like games that are really, really high on my list. And the 4 through 1 it's probably going to be really controversial for like just talking about it. But it is like a huge step above how I feel for Spider-Man and for Assassin's Creed. So that's what I got.
Hades is my number 5.
Ooh.
Hades is really good. The art's amazing. The story's really good. The thing about it is it plays really damn well, and it does a lot of stuff that sort of revolutionizes the roguelike. And I don't know if I can play a lot of other roguelikes after playing Hades. But yeah, Hades is really good. I don't think I got as into it as everybody else. I've been following it forever and I've been rooting for it. Since early access. But like, Hades is wonderful. It's just exceptional. I mean, maybe if I put and I put a lot of time into it, but maybe if I put more, I would love it more because like, honestly, it's a game that just keeps on giving. Like there's so much replayability and it's so fun. But yeah, I would love to see some DLC for Hades or some more content drops for Hades. But yeah, Hades is just wonderful. It's exceptional. The art's amazing. It plays amazing. The soundtrack's pretty damn good. The character stuff is surprisingly great for what kind of game it is. That's the biggest thing is the character stuff is what I love like the most out of that, like Zagreus and Hades and Meg. Like I love all of them so much, and I would love, and I am excited to ultimately dive in and do more clears when the itch hits me. But that's the thing about roguelikes is like I cleared it a bunch of times and then I was like, I'm going to take a break. And I have not had the urge to dive back in a bit. Like I cleared it the first time, and then when I had Corona and it was in my room and could only play on my Switch, I cleared it like a couple more dozen times. Not dozen, but like, I cleared it like 7 times, and I'm on like a 7 streak right now. Gotcha. And then, but I haven't had the need to dive back in just yet. But when it hits me, I think I will, and then I'll be really high on the game. I feel like that game, when you're playing it, you're really high on it. You're really into it. And then when you're not, it's a little bit like that game's great, but you're not as high on it. So yes, Hades is my number 5.
That's interesting because of how much, when we were talking about game of the year for the game awards, you were in pretty, that's what you had for game of the year.
I knew people were a lot hotter on it than I was. That's what it was. Yeah.
I got you. Give me 1 minute, because my mom just came home from work. So give me 2 minutes.
I'm going to entertain them.
Her. No, all right, go for it. I was going to cut this part out, but you can do what you want.
You still can cut it out.
We'll see. I'll see the recording what's going on. So I'll be right back.
I can't say anything too bad. Well, guys, now it's just me and you. I was going to put Assassin's Creed Valhalla at my number 6, but then I was like, those games are better. I also feel like I'm too mainstream, realistically. Like all my top, I don't want to spoil it, but they're pretty big games. And I kind of wish I played a little bit more of the small stuff. I did play a lot of small stuff. West of Dead was cool. The art was really cool, rather. I really wish I got to play Spelunky. I know if I played Hollow Knight Silksong, if that had come out this year, that would have been up there. Ghost Runner was really sick. Just kind of doing my honorable mentions here. I really wish I got more time to get into Kentucky Route Zero as well. I feel like if Kentucky Route Zero, if I had really played through it, I don't know why I haven't actually. I should just go back and do it. I should have done it before this talk, but I feel like that would be in my top 3, if that. Honestly, well and truly, I think Kentucky Route Zero is what I did play was exceptional, and I'm really excited to play more. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Another game I really wish I had gotten into was Paper Mario. I feel like that's a game that's built for me, but I never got to really dig in the way I wanted to. So we talked about Astro. Man, I don't want to spoil anything, guys. But yeah. It was a pretty good year. There was a lot of good games. You know what's surprising? I probably should. No, I like Astro more than Ghost. Is that weird? Is that bad? Should I not say that? Is that like... I don't know. Ghost is... Oh, he's back. Okay. Sorry, I was bearing my soul. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I was just like... I was
ASMR.
No. I was talking about like why I didn't put Ghost on my list. Or maybe I should have, but...
Oh, yeah. Wow.
It's not on my list.
Woof.
Yeah.
That's a woof. All right.
So I love Astro. It was if it was taking a spot, it would have been Astro.
Wow.
So
wow, I'm trying to think of what your 4 could be then. That's actually insane. I'm more interested in yours. All right, back at it. So number 4 for me, this is gonna not make Adam happy. I have The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, he's upset with that. So my reasoning,
we're done with podcasting together. It was a good run, guys.
That's Adam's 1. I know it is. It has to be, since Hades is at 5. I don't know what else could be at 1 then. Anyways, it's at 4 for me because it just, out of the next 3 games, it doesn't, bring the same type of enjoyment for me. That's like the biggest reason. The game itself is phenomenal. It's really,
you just didn't click with it, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand everything that goes on. I understand what it tries to do, and I understand where it is going. And I think that's why narratively, it's definitely the best game that I probably played this year. And like I tell you all the time, I think the narrative is probably like the most important thing for me
Yeah.
in these games. But outside of that, like it's a game that I played, I finished, and I was like, I just like I can't like I tried to get back into it once and it just like wasn't there for me. I wasn't like vibing with it, and I was just like, man, like what is it like? I know there's like for me there's a turn off halfway through the game, and we're not going to spoil the game, but there's a turn off like where I kind of just like disconnect for a couple hours. Even when I do get into even when I do get into like that second half of it, and I understand what it's trying to do, and I get to a point where I'm traveling with a character that I actually do really like. I forget what his little name is. But can we spoil on this? I feel like it's been out for so long.
Don't.
All
Let's not.
right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways,
Let's not.
there's a point in the game where I think it does get to a point where for a lot of people it's not like controversial, but it's just like, oh, the game like makes you switch, and there's a way that you can take it. I think a lot of people take it in a good way, which I took it in a way where I was like, I understand what they're trying to do for me, what they're trying to do with the story, but I'm just like not connecting with this person, with this character, and so it kind of like kicks me out of it. And there's also a part in the game where it's like it takes like a lot of the realism out of it for me, where there's a sequence between the two main characters that I just don't believe would happen the way that it did. And it kind of just like kicks me out of like, all right, well, this game is like kind of just like it's got really good gameplay. It evolves the gameplay from its previous version, but besides that, like I'm just not vibing with it as much as I am with the other games on my list.
That's fair. Hey,
so
I'm gonna not say anything.
No, I look forward to hearing. I look forward to hearing yours. I know that obviously you. It's very much like a movie. It's a short, not like a short game, but the Last of Us games are kind of more like movies in the way.
I was gonna say Last of Us Part 2 is like 20 something hours long. It is not short. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's my number. That's my four.
That's your four. My four. Doom Eternal. Let's go. Doom Eternal is so good. Who gives a shit about story? Who gives a shit about anything? It's vibes. It's gameplay. You're killing demons. You're cracking them up with your head. You got a blade on your arm. You got a shotgun. It's got a hook on it. It sets things on fire. Oh, Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal so good. Doom Eternal is just energy. It's power. When I play it, I feel like I'm 900 pounds of just pure muscle running at 900 miles per hour, slamming through things. I could run into 8 walls. Guess what? The walls are going down and I'm staying up. No, Doom Eternal is great. I like it in terms of balance, in terms of gameplay. Like it is as first person shooters, it is like it knows what they're doing. They invented this genre. They continue to innovate this genre. And the other part is, if you're actually kind of into the story, it's like Dark Souls. You can go looking for it. You can have fun. I love Doom Eternal. The music's great. I love Doom. I love Doom. I don't think it's as good as Doom 2016, but that game is like all time great. So I mean, who cares? A battle mode did pan out the way it wanted to, I guess, but it doesn't matter because I love Doom. Doom Eternal's good. You get the sword.
Was that two demons versus the one hunter? Demon Slayer?
Yeah. It was an interesting thing. I kind of bounced off of it. It was like, okay. Mostly because the Slayer, if it's a good Slayer, you're not winning.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it doesn't matter though. Honestly, like the game is so fun. It's challenging as hell if you want it to be. Yeah, like goddamn.
You vibed with it.
I love Doom. I just love Doom. I've always loved Doom, and I will continue to love Doom because guess what? Doom is eternal. Doom Eternal, number 4. Okay, on to you. Number 3.
That. Dude, I'm telling you, you have a much better list.
I feel like I've a lot of stuff that I've really wanted, like that I'm really passionate about, came out this year. If that makes sense.
That
like
makes sense.
yeah, like a sequel to Doom, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but like literally my top four games are sequels or things that I've already loved, and
Hmm.
they were iterative and innovative in ways that I did not expect, and they were all great. And so like that was like a nice like it was a great year for me in that sense. Yeah,
Yeah. No, I mean, I can tell by the
yeah.
passion of Doom getting to you.
I
So
was sorry, man. You know, when Doom comes, it kind of just takes over your body. You start getting the shakes.
So I have a game at 3 that it's going to be controversial at this point in time. That I feel like is my Doom Eternal for this, and
Yeah,
it's Cyberpunk 2077. When you talk about like for you, like you're listening to Doom soundtrack, when I'm
yeah.
listening to Cyberpunk's soundtrack through like certain missions, like it gets me going
You're
through a lot
pumped.
of things. And yeah, I do get pumped. Like it's kind of like this, like just like adrenaline pumping music. But it's also an RPG, and
Yeah,
RPGs are hold a special place in my heart. They always will. And this is one of them where, it's at 3 mainly because of how it works right now. If this was maybe 2021 and we're talking about like ongoing, maybe, or I don't know, like a continuation or something, maybe it's number 1. But as of right now, I can't rightfully put it in front of the other 2 games, knowing how those things worked at launch, how they probably still work, and how they look on next gen consoles. But for me, I think that there's so much content here that I'm in love with. It reminds me so much of The Witcher 3, and it gives me, cyber psychos are like going and doing the hunts for Witcher contracts, and the story is
yeah,
so well done, just like the story in The Witcher 3. And the side characters are very lovable. They have their own, story paths, and you get to, you play second fiddle to them. And it's really interesting to be able to do that instead of, just constantly being at the center of attention, and being, just your like you pull and everyone has to do what you say and everything. And there still is a little bit too like a little
but you're
bit
not
a part of
Geralt.
that.
You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
making the character, which is very different.
right. And so, story, gameplay, I love the gunplay. Like I don't think I'll get over that anytime soon. I really love being able to find these legendary guns that are like tailored to specific, like, there's the stash within your house that like specific guns can fit into the wall.
Yeah, yeah,
That like some of them are really cool. Like I have a couple of guns that like I'm just really in love with. I really love using. Um, and there's other aspects of this game that I think will get better with time. But as of right now, it's gonna sit at 3 at a kind of like controversial point with me and probably with a lot of people. So that's 3 for me.
good three. Hey,
Appreciate
I
it.
mad respect. You knew what you wanted, and it gave it to you in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not everything you wanted because of how it came out, but hey, I mean, when you get what you want,
Yep.
say it. Say it with your chest, man.
Doom,
Uh,
baby.
do it, Doom. You should
Doom.
play if you like gunplay. I got a game for you. No. So number 3 is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Really, you were just talking about it in like a way that I did not expect this to be up at 3.
Well, like bad?
Not bad, but like I think you were talking about the second one,
Yeah,
and
it's
you were like,
exquisite.
it's not as good as the second one. I was like, oh, okay.
No, no,
Uh,
no. Ori is better than Ori 1.
this
Doom
is
is not as good as Doom 2016.
right, but like when you were talking about like you moving into the top 4,
Mm-hmm.
you were like, these are games that are sequels that like pushed it forward, and
Oh yeah, Ori
this and
pushes it
that.
forward. Ori pushes it forward.
I thought,
Every part of Ori and the Will of the Wisps just is like expanded and better and bigger. It's like it's bigger and like when they're like sequels should be bigger and better. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is bigger and better than Ori and the Blind Forest in every way. The art is better, the story's better, the soundtrack. Oh my god, the graphics, the art, like all of it is just the gameplay is the biggest thing. The combat is exquisite. It's so good. I like it's so well designed. I and playing it on my Series X, I'm playing it at 60 frames per second in 6K. It's the most gorgeous game I've ever played. period. It is the single most gorgeous game I have ever played. Like when you see super sampled 6K and it's running that smoothly, I'm very excited to try at 120. By the way, I don't have a TV for it yet, but I might be changing that soon. It's just, I cannot get over how good looking this game is. I cried. Like the story is really good. Like I really teared up and I cried. The combat, like this game is so airtight, so bulletproof. It takes what the formula and the platforming that they established in the first game, and they just go bonkers with it. It's like they're really just kill it. Moon Studios is exceptional. They're great. I really want to see what they do next, because the Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps are two of the best, like just 1-2 punches in video games that you could ask for. Just exquisite platformers in a time where I don't think we get as many as we should. Like it can be challenging. The games can be challenging, and I like, but it's a challenge that I really like to just go through and try again and be really into. And you know, I don't know. Yeah. Like when you would think when something gets much bigger and they add all these things that it would just, you know, become unruly and bog it down, but it's still so tight. The game's so tight. The game's so laser focused on what it can do well. And man, I keep going back to it and just running around, like moving that fast and that speed. And it feels when it feels good to just move, like kind of like Spider-Man. It feels good to just move. You have something special, you know?
Yeah.
And Ori is special. Like, goddamn. Ori. Yeah. So Ori and the Will of the Wisps is my number 3.
I look forward to getting into both of those on Game Pass, which is, you know, something I told you I want to do.
Yeah, 100%, so worth it.
Widen my horizons and everything like that. So
yeah.
I like that you're super passionate about indie games and everything, and that's something that I hope to get a liking for and a respect for in the future.
You got it.
So
it's just about playing them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really just like taking like that step kind of, I think, for indie games. Like, and I'll admit to, like, I'm awful about it. Like I like sticking to what I know and what I like and all that. And so it's not to say that I wouldn't like that, but you know, it's kind of like the same talk that I have with you with Doom. It's like you talk about it. You're not really in it for the story, but if like you really want to search for it, you can find it.
It's interesting, and it's interesting too. Like that's the thing. Like the Doom story specifically is like the lore is fascinating.
Right.
And hey, Doom on Game Pass, Doom Eternal
also on Game Pass. Yep. So
listen,
I'll
tell you this. It's just a leap of faith, man. There you go. All right, send you through. Do you give you the Spider-Verse reference? Sending
it.
Yeah, he'll go.
So moving on to the top 2, for me, and I guess this is why I'm so surprised to hear that it's not even in your game.
See, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima for me, man, it was just it's one of the like prettiest games I've ever played. Like I think about just riding the horse and just riding all throughout feudal Japan and the island of Tsushima, and you know they do each kind of like progression of the island really well. I think the different, you know, areas you can go to and explore are just so beyond beautiful. But then the gameplay as well, I know that the, you know, like the stealth isn't like fantastic. I do like it still, but I think the sword play is just like so fun. Like I can't remember besides The Witcher 3, like a game where I go in and I'm like, oh, man, this sword play is just so good.
Really good.
Like it's
really
just
great.
It feels so great.
Smooth,
and then
so smooth too.
On top of that, they add in Legends, right?
Legends, yeah.
And you know,
that almost made it crack the top 6 for me.
Right. And you know,
I never got to do the raid. That was my only thing, you know.
Yeah, we botched that a little bit. It's kind of on us. But you know, being able to share that with you, Mike, Jeff, especially Jeff, like for him to, you know, have that be the game that kind of like bounced him into the realm of wanting to play more single player games is like so understandable, because like I love the story of Jin and what he's trying to do, the duality of him trying to fight for the freedom of his island while also trying to fight with the, you know, the demons of, if he tries to fight them in the way of the samurai, he's going to lose because they've already lost that way. But if he fights them in the way of, you know, the ghost, they got a fighting chance. They can do more and be free with that. And, you know, through time, I don't know that it's executed the best through the story, but I think that the characters that fill the Ghost of Tsushima are so incredible. And the way that they interact with Jin and how they process what he is doing is so good. The story with his uncle is almost to that of, like, for me, the Johnny Silverhand in V in Cyberpunk's 2077.
Mm-hmm.
I just like can't. I've never stopped to go into a photo mode for a game because I just like, usually when I go and I play a video game, I either just stand there and I just look
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have any like art taste in terms of like, or I don't have any like what's the word, like skill in trying to frame something in a
Yeah.
way that you know, looks really creatively good. Like you, Jeff, and Mike have all done phenomenal pictures that I've saved like on my phone of that game. And it's just like, for me to like go, even like go in there and try to do some stuff is like speaking to the like test of like, man,
Yeah, that game's, yeah,
this
it's
is a beautiful
gorgeous.
game. And when I compare it to like um The Last of Us, like The Last of Us is also a very beautiful game, but I find The Last of Us to be a
Doesn't
little,
pop as much.
right, it doesn't pop as much as Ghost does. And I think that's what, you know, catches my eye and a reason to why it's at 2. And it's just, you know, I'm really interested in that world. You know, I think they left the door open for a
Oh, the door's
sequel.
open after how much money that game made.
Yeah,
The door's not open. Everybody's walked through, you know?
right. A sequel, DLC, whatever they want to do, I'm here for it. Obviously, I really do like the fact that they have multiplayer. Haven't played like a lot of multiplayer games this past year, and so just to be able to have that and share that with friends is uh, another reason why it gets bumped past Cyberpunk for me.
Yeah.
So that's 2.
Well, I think I also really love Ghost of Tsushima. I think the only thing for me is that, like, in a lot of ways, to me, it just reminded me of old Assassin's Creed, which is fine. But like, I don't know. I wanted, I don't know why. It never clicked with me in the same way where I found like everybody loved it way
Mm-hmm.
more than I did. Although I took a lot of pictures, like you said, like a lot of
Yeah.
pictures. Like I have a gigabyte of pictures. Um, and but we are in a unique situation where I know exactly what your number one is and
Yeah.
my number two. So they're the
Yep.
same. So I feel
Yep.
like we should just talk about them at the same time. So
Absolutely.
your number one is what?
Final Fantasy 7
Seven
remake,
remake.
baby.
That's my number two. I struggled with whether to put it at 2 or 1 for a
Really?
bit, but sort of ultimately I realized that I put my number 1 there for a reason, and
Yep.
it should probably stay there. But like, and it was because for another this game's amazing. Like it's gorgeous. The stories, like they did the impossible of modernizing and reinvigorating one of the probably one of the most iconic games ever, period. And like on top of that, it just plays fantastic. Like I said it, things I got really lucky, and things that I loved were just knocked it out of the park this year. And I've loved Final Fantasy VII for so long. Like I played the old game on, I bought it on my phone because I wanted to play it on my, like, on the go. Like that's how much I love that old game. And now here we are, and it's like it's just got a fresh coat of paint, a really fresh coat of paint, maybe a couple new parts in the engine, but it's gorgeous. The story is wonderful. The characters are so lush, so enjoyable. I guess the only reason I didn't put it at number 1 is because I know that so much of the power for me comes from that first game, you know,
Yeah.
and like it's harder for me to be like, this is everything when I know, and I feel like I sort of talk myself out of it because I love Final Fantasy VII Remake so much, but it's like I know I have a huge connection to it as part of that first game. So it's like it's weird. It's in this weird as part of the original, rather, not the first game. So it's in a weird spot for me. But yeah, I mean I love Cloud. I will always love Cloud. I Barrett, my king.
Oh, he
Oh,
is
the
the
golden
king.
goose. The
He is.
golden goose.
Ba,
Tifa,
ba, ba,
Aerith,
ba.
my queen. Yeah, but like, yeah, just great, wonderful.
Yeah.
But I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is my introduction into Final Fantasy. And so, like,
I've been
even,
trying.
even I can't, like, put my finger on it when I, like found out that, or like I knew I was going to pre-order and get the game, because I had played the demo that they released, like the hour demo that you get to play, and I came out of it and I was like, I'm not feeling it. And
Yeah.
I really don't know what pushed me forward to kind of in hypothetical, like take the leap into this game.
Me
So
bothering you about it and being like, listen, nothing's coming out. Cyberpunk got delayed. Get
right.
your ass into Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah. And so like I was so just there's not a point in that game where I stop and I like put like the controller down and I stop. Like
Yeah.
there's like no point where I just like I want to take a breath. Like I want to keep consuming it. Like my mind is just like I'm having fun the entire time. I like the side quests aren't like anything crazy, but they're so fun.
They
The
also
little
don't need to
games
be like,
are
because
so fun.
it's just, I don't know, like who cares about the side quests when they're fine, but you have fun doing them. Like,
Yeah.
who cares about the story of the side quest? You're vibing out, you're hanging out. It's all vibes.
The entire game itself is just so much fun. The gameplay is I don't know that I can
It's
pin
God
it
of War
down.
level good.
Yeah, I mean it is just like something that like through and through there's not one complaint I have about it.
So it's so weighty and visceral. Like everything feels like it connects, but it's still fast and like really fluid. And that is the single greatest part of that game. The thing that I didn't think they could pull off is they made it so that it still resembles the turn-based game originally in some capacity somehow, which is bonkers. That's bonkers to me. Like how they did that and how they pulled it off so effectively. And I'm like really glad that this was your first introduction to Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy in general, because I feel like, it being a known quantity for me, like,
yeah.
But not you experiencing it all fresh is like, that's like, I can't, that's probably so fun.
I just
like,
remember beating it and I was like, dude, are you done with this game yet? Can we talk about this game?
I was like
can
2 hours
please
behind
talk
you
about this
because
game?
we were basically playing at the exact same times but my UPS driver arrived like 2 hours late, so I beat the game 2 hours later than you.
Yeah.
But like I mean, I really like that I like knew stuff about the game, but I envy that you like got to come into it fresh and got to see what it was like, like experiencing that story fresh. And I mean, they still did some fresh stuff with the story that I, got to experience. But I'm glad that you finally jumped aboard the Final Fantasy train. I'm excited for you to play for you to play 16.
Yeah,
or maybe even the OG 7.
I look forward. Yeah, I'm worried that like I don't want to jump into the OG because I know there's going to be more of the remakes, and so
yeah,
and I already know that like they're slightly different, but like I think what
a lot different, but
yeah, I think what has like gotten me like into it is not knowing, because that's where you're saying there's a little bit of like not a disconnect, but a little bit of like you have like this connection to the original game, and so you had feelings coming into this one and thoughts about this one.
You want to go in fresh.
Yeah, I went in completely blind, and I love that world.
Mm-hmm.
I love the art style of that game.
Yeah.
High fantasy kind of stuff like that. It's just like
high fantasy cyber, but like dystopia, like
yeah. I just like the characters. Cloud's such a badass dude.
Yeah, I love Cloud.
I love Cloud. I mean, he's
ex-soldier.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ex-soldier. And Barrett's awesome. Barrett's just funny. Love being around Barrett all the time. Best dad of the year. What's it called? Tifa and Aerith are such a great, like, I love when they get together. Like, they're such a great duo. I love them.
I really love that they avoided the girls have to fight thing, and they just were like, they vibe out and they love each other, and it's great. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's so good, and that story through and through. It's like it's got mystery. It's kind
That
of got
game's
like
magical, like
it's
truly,
got
like
everything. Like it
yeah,
just like speaks to me in like ways that I didn't know. Like it like the way that it shot up into like my top 3 favorite games of all times was astronomical. Because like I played through it once and I was like, oh my god, like top 3
yeah.
immediately. Whereas games like Mass Effect 2 and The Witcher 3, it took me multiple playthroughs to be like, yeah, like these games are up there for me. And
I mean,
like
yeah, this game's like it's easily in my top 10, maybe my top. Like I love Final Fantasy, and this is just so perfect. It's such a perfect like little love letter to the game that kind of, you know, that changed gaming in a lot of ways. So
yeah. And here's hoping to getting something soon for like a part 2 or whatever they're gonna call it, Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2, whatever they're gonna call it. I'm still holding out. I'm simping still, hoping that Jesse is still alive, hopefully. But that game is, I love all the characters. I love the big 3 or whatever you want to call them. That's I reference like My Hero Academia right there, but
yeah,
I love the team, the combat,
just
the
wait till you get to a
story.
couple other people. Like
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's so exciting for me to know what's coming like know that there's things that they won't cut out. Like they'll change things, but I know that they're not going to change it. Like the characters are going to be there.
yeah.
And knowing who else you have to see. Kate Sith specifically.
That's a
But
little
yeah,
what is he, like a
yeah,
cat dude?
yeah, a little cat.
Cat dude that was at the top with the crown. I was like,
Yeah,
who
when
the
the
heck
when
is
the
that
plate
dude?
when the plate fell. Yeah,
Yeah. But it's a phenomenal game, and I think it rightly deserves to be at the top for me. But
Mhm.
I know what your final number 1 game of the year is.
Oh yeah.
Adam, take it away.
Last of Us Part Two. Like Naughty Dog is nobody's making. Well, that's not true. Not nobody's making games like Naughty Dog. Nobody's making games at the level of Naughty Dog. Like this game is so fun to play. It's so good to play, and goddamn the story. Neil Druckmann just absolutely kills it. Like I've watched and seen a lot in my life, and Last of Us Part Two is, as a story, is one of the most moving and intricate and well told stories I've ever seen. Period. Like movies, books, games. Like I was connected with Ellie and Joel before this, but the kind of maneuver, the narrative maneuvers that the team at Naughty Dog is able to pull off, Haley Gross and Neil Druckmann, I guess to single out 2 people, but really the team at Naughty Dog are able to pull off are just mind-boggling. Like it's crazy that to me they show their hand and tell you exactly what they're going to do and they still pull it off, which is I think like the most difficult thing because you always want to resist. You always want to be better. You always want to be smarter than the story. Everybody does, whether they say it or not. Like it's psychology. You want to prove mentally that you're on top of it, and ultimately, like the fact that they were able to just pull that off is it's so surprising to me, and it's crazy that they do it in the way of mirroring the narrative of the first game because like they know how well that narrative works and how I know I'm talking super vaguely, but I don't want to do any spoilers. But
Absolutely.
ultimately, yeah, one of the technologically one of the most impressive technically one of the most impressive games I've ever seen. I'm so emotionally invested in these characters. I love the story. Like I think the story is just absolutely exquisite. And the characters of Ellie, the characters of Dina, the characters of unnamed person who I will not name because it's a spoiler, and her relationships that I didn't care about that I found myself caring about. That like it's so hard to talk about this game in any depth without spoil, but like
Right.
the amount of feeling that this game makes you feel, like the hate,
Yeah.
the joy, the pain, the sorrow, the but even the small moments that are so happy. It's like there's the museum, which I won't, but like tears of joy, like so beautiful, so gorgeous, and there's very few games that capture that. Like in 2018, God of War was sort of like that, like the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, how well that game plays, and Sony studios, Sony Worldwide Studios, just, they keep funding these incredible games with incredible talent. And like, I could talk forever about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I was super impressed with we talked about it at length after we both played it. And I think the way you put it with the intertwining of the stories and the theme, the great, like the grand theme of things of like what the theme of The Last of Us was and what the theme of The Last of Us 2 was. And like, almost like it being like a lesson kind of, it's just,
and about violence and the weight that it takes on your soul and what you do, and the cycle of violence, and this is something that God of War also gets into. It's something that rightly I am fascinated by, is like, I love thematically like discussing and dissecting the cycle of violence, something that God of War gets into, which is another reason that I'm into it. Maybe I just really like stories about this, but yeah, like, and revenge, and I don't know. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. I could talk about it for hours and hours. I have talked about it for hours.
Absolutely.
I've taken like 3 gigabytes of screenshots, if that, in photo mode, if that also means something. So
I think the ultra like realism of it is what like really connects people to these characters. Like what you were saying, like you're invested into a lot of those characters and everything, and it's because they look, they act real, and a lot of it is just like, wow, like it's like you're almost like putting yourself into the shoes of that person, even though like it's not your stories. It's like you're kind of just like you're there and you're taking it into the first person like perspective, even though like you're playing as Ellie and you're going through and you're doing things and you're talking with Dina and doing these things, talking with Joel, and it's just like you get so invested. And I think that's like that's why it was in our predictions, it was narrative. Like the narrative is just so amazing, and it's just
like,
and it upgrades,
and the direction.
Yeah.
Like what Druckmann actually stylistically does with this game is gorgeous. Sorry, continue.
No, and they upgrade upon the gameplay from the previous one, and it feels so good, and it's just it's phenomenal. And I knew it was gonna be your game of the year.
I mean,
after Hades essentially was like at 5, I was like, oh well, all right, there's only one other game that could potentially be at 1. So
Final Fantasy like had a really good shot, just because of how much I
never thought that, like with you, like when we talked about it in the past, I never thought that it would touch.
I was cooler on it than you, but like,
yeah,
I think that was just because like I don't know. It's weird because I was cooler on the actual game, but like Final Fantasy 7 as a thing holds such a place in my heart that it like, maybe it didn't come off in that way, but like, yeah, I mean, I played that game for like 80 hours in 6 days. Like I beat that game twice back. Like I finished it and I immediately started it again. And also, one of the most enjoyable gameplay experiences I've had in a long time was playing that game on hard. Like the difficulty that it was, and like actually having to think about it, like the chess match. But yeah, ultimately, I can't get over how good, like, as much as I love Final Fantasy Part 7 or Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and as much as I adore what it is, I cannot get over what Naughty Dog was able to accomplish with The Last of Us Part 2. In terms of the world, in terms of like, that is another game where I beat it and I immediately started playing it again. Like it feels so good. It's so enjoyable to play. And yes, it's dark and like that can be like, it can be dark at times, but like I never felt like it was overindulgent. I always felt like everything that happened was happening for a reason in the story, and the story comes about naturally. It's never contrived, and I'm amazed by it, honestly. Like that's ultimately like the thing. I'm amazed at what they accomplished. So, yeah.
I mean, it really like coming off of 2019, where I just thought like there was so lacking in games. I thought that 2020 was just phenomenal in terms of how many games came out and how many games like really spoke to you. Obviously, you had a lot of games that really got to you.
I loved gaming in 2020, dude. If Halo Infinite and Silksong came out, I would have. That would have been like oh my god, 2020
Sensory overload.
Yeah, like literally 2020 would have been like one of the best years.
I think 2021 has a chance to beat 2020. I mean,
you're not wrong, because everything that was supposed to come out got
yeah. If we're thinking about it, 2021 just this is how we'll end up. Here's the 2021.
We're gonna do an episode on 2021. So
yeah, but I think it really does have a chance to be better than 2020. But 2020 was phenomenal. It was amazing. 2020 was excellent. A lot of these games are just like.
You mentioned 2019, so shout out to Death Stranding. I've been playing it again. No, but I've been playing it again, and honestly, like, there's not a game like it. And I just wanted to talk about it. I love Kojima, but like, there's truly not a game like it, and playing it can be such a almost religious experience. Like giving yourself over to that game and just experiencing it. It's such an experience. Like it's weird because you have your own terms, but the game wants you to meet it on its terms too. And when you do that, it ultimately can be like such an experience. Death Stranding's exquisite. I'll say it. Listen, Death Stranding's exquisite. Mwah, chef's kiss. I know it's 2020, but I just wanted to. Well, actually, you know what? It came out for PC in the year 2020. So like, no. But yeah, just wanted to give a little shout out to Death Stranding. I miss you.
I got you.
Oh, BB's in Cyberpunk. I found that out and I freaked out. So
Kojima's supposed to be in there too somewhere.
I have not found him. Trust me, and I've been fucking searching. I want to find him and just sit next to him.
Right. All right, but that's where we're gonna wrap it up. I enjoyed that a lot. I was really happy with your list, more so than mine. So hopefully I'll be able to broaden that horizon next year.
Next year, you're gonna be cracked. Your list is gonna be cracked. It's gonna be cracked at Fortnite, dog.
Cracked at Fortnite. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. This was the Good Games podcast instead of a spoiler cast. So we do appreciate you watching. If you guys could leave a like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. It would really help us out. And if you could comment, let us know what you guys thought your top 6 games of the year were, or maybe, break down what you thought about our thoughts. Yeah, let us know. We want to hear your thoughts, and we want to, maybe we'll have one of you guys on. I know there's a lot of people out there that listen to this friends-wise for us. So it's always a good thing. And
always want to hear new voices, as long as they're cool and not, toxic.
Yeah. So, but thank you all very much, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.